On March 12, 2023, in San Francisco, California, a seemingly minor incident triggered a chain reaction that would ripple through the digital infrastructure of multiple leading tech platforms. The primary actors in this unfolding crisis were a reputable software development company, Codecraft, known for its popular open-source software libraries and the digital systems that countless corporations relied upon for their operations. One of these libraries, a dependency profoundly integrated into various systems, contained a forgotten line of code that would soon reveal its catastrophic potential. As updates rolled out, a misconfiguration in the library created an unexpected access vector. The code modification, aimed at improving performance and resource allocation, inadvertently left a section of the program vulnerable. This oversight manifested as a minor bug, a line of code that overlooked critical permission checks within the software's access control system. The absence of rigorous internal testing and deployment protocols, compounded by a lack of awareness surrounding existing vulnerabilities, meant that the library was pushed to production without adequate scrutiny. Key stakeholders, driven by a culture of rapid innovation, overlooked warnings during the deployment review stages, prioritizing speed over security. Within hours of the initial update, measurable impacts emerged. Tech companies using the affected libraries, estimated to include at least 15 major platforms and thousands of smaller businesses, began experiencing disruptions. Monitoring systems triggered alerts, indicating unexpected spikes in latency and error rates. Initial reports indicated that at least 200,000 users across multiple services were affected, leading to a 15% increase in service downtime and an estimated loss of revenue exceeding $3 million on the first day alone. Financial metrics deteriorated, with early signs of customer dissatisfaction surfacing in feedback channels. Reports of service lags and abnormal behavior among applications started flooding social media and tech forums. Internally, confusion permeated the organization. Emails flew back and forth among developers and management, with numerous tacit assumptions swirling. The incident response team convened in a designated channel to assess the unfolding crisis, where initial reactions included dismissing early reports as minor bugs. Some team members posited that the issues could be resolved quickly through superficial patches, resulting in a decision to issue temporary fixes while monitoring the situation. As internal communications unfolded, not all relevant parties were looped in, worsening the misunderstanding of the scope of the issue. While a subset of engineers worked to fix the configuration oversight, others remained focused on new development efforts, underestimating the potential ramifications of the disruption. Externally, user reports began to mount. Help desk tickets saturated support channels, and customers expressed frustration, experiencing repeated service disruptions. Tech blogs picked up on the story, generating minor media mentions that speculated about possible outages and errors without pinpointing a clear cause. Several popular platforms publicly acknowledged the issues, attributing them to _0, further creating a false sense of confidence among users that the problems were being swiftly addressed. As days passed, the initial bug reports evolved into something more troubling. A careful analysis revealed that the misconfigured permissions could potentially expose sensitive user data to unauthorized access, significantly raising the stakes. Developers at Codecraft, while working to stabilize the situation, flagged the escalating nature of the vulnerabilities, but the urgency of the response faltered. Management's focus on maintaining user trust led to snapshots of communication that emphasized reassurances but lacked clarity regarding necessary remediation steps or timelines. At this critical juncture, tech giants began to escalate their internal assessments. They launched deeper investigations into their reliance on the affected library and conducted audits to evaluate potential exposures. Data breach notifications followed as some platforms identified breaches linked to their infrastructure. By now, customer confidence started to erode. Reports of account compromises surfaced, aggravating the situation for affected firms and their loyal user bases. The next few days seeing an exponential rise in service disruption, affecting tens of millions of users across multiple platforms. The impact deepened, with financial estimates climbing higher. User engagement metrics shifted downward as customers encountered barriers accessing essential services. This disruption fostered a sense of uncertainty in the digital space, and stakeholder anxiety grew. As the situation escalated, Codecraft's developers acknowledged the need to collaborate with external security experts to fully assess the severity of the code oversight. Internal conversations shifted from a troubleshooting focus to a full-scale investigation into the digital infrastructure that had once been heralded as robust and reliable. Tensions mounted as the external scrutiny amplified, and competitive tech companies began to shield their operations while grappling with the consequences of collateral service failures. The incident, which had initially seemed manageable, morphed into a multifaceted crisis involving substantial financial implications and widespread reputational damage. As lines of communication opened further, real-time updates from affected companies echoed the seriousness of the repercussions, revealing a complex web of dependencies fraught with vulnerabilities. On March 20th, a week after the first disruptions occurred, headlines dominated digital media. The minor code oversight that had ignited the incident transformed into a pivotal scrutiny point for both Codecraft and its clients. Investigative reports dissected the impact, analyzing the cascading effects on user data security and operational trust within the tech sector. Federal regulators began to take interest, hinting at potential oversight involvement. It became increasingly clear that the overlooked line of code was not simply a forgotten error, but a critical reminder of the fragility inherent in the comprehensively interconnected systems shaping today's technology landscape. As companies scrambled to mitigate continuing fallout and adjust strategies for customer restitution, the reality of the situation began dawning on Codecraft and its partners. With the walls closing in, the urgency to rectify not only the code, but also restore trust in their relationships with stakeholders intensified, thereby setting the stage for what promised to unfold as a complex reckoning in the realm of digital infrastructure integrity. By March the 25th, a series of high-level meetings commenced among affected companies, Codecraft, and regulatory bodies. As investigations deepened, evidence began to surface suggesting that numerous prior warnings about vulnerabilities in the library had been dismissed or inadequately addressed. Internal documents revealed a pattern of miscommunication where security concerns voiced by developers were overshadowed by operational timelines. This created a perilous gap where fixes were postponed despite known issues, ultimately leading to this crisis. On the same day, law enforcement agencies initiated their investigations, launching inquiries into potential negligence allegations against executives who had overseen the deployment processes. Subpoenas were issued to gather all internal communications regarding the management of the software library and the decisions that led to deployment without adequate scrutiny. regulatory bodies announced plans to audit not only codecraft, but also the companies using their software in order to assess compliance with data protection regulations. By March 30th, the financial repercussions became glaringly evident. Major platforms publicly disclosed that not only had they faced significant service outages, but they also anticipated compensation claims from users affected by data breaches. The cascading effect meant that damages ran into billions of dollars as companies calculated losses relating to downtime and the long-term impact on user retention. Consumer distrust blossomed as discussions on social media revealed heightened concerns regarding privacy and security. As the breaches intensified and security protocols were implemented, all affected platforms moved to enact emergency changes to their digital infrastructures. Accounts associated with compromised data were temporarily frozen to prevent further fraudulent activity. Affected companies strengthened their security measures significantly, implementing tighter access controls and engaging third-party firms to conduct extensive audits of existing code libraries and dependencies. The focus became to rebuild user trust through swift and transparent action. The exposure phase fully escalated on April 5th, as journalists began releasing investigative pieces based on acquired internal communications and audit reports that painted a stark picture of systematic oversight and hasty decision-making. Whistleblower testimony further corroborated the accusation that underlying vulnerabilities were well known within the organization prior to the outages, but had been ignored in favor of hitting product launch deadlines. Industry forums exploded with discourse surrounding the ineffectiveness of existing protocols. On April 12th, amid the growing pressure, Codecraft's CEO announced a series of resignations, including the CTO, who faced backlash for failing to prioritize security and deployment strategies. This marked a significant turning point as the once prominent software firm began to unravel under the pressure of public scrutiny and operational missteps. The company began consolidating its resources, leading to deep layoffs as financial forecasts plummeted and partnerships dissolved. In the following weeks, as the crisis deepened, reports of class action lawsuits emerged targeting multiple companies implicated in the incident. The legal battles commenced, with users banding together under claims of negligence in the handling of sensitive data. The collective effort aimed to hold accountable those responsible for the lapses in security that had ultimately jeopardized millions of personal accounts. By May 15th, the reputational collapse of the firms involved became well understood. Stock prices tumbled, launching public companies into free falls, while private companies found fundraising nearly impossible. Investors expressed skepticism about the future viability of companies who had relied so heavily upon Codecraft services without adequate risk assessment. Finally, by June 30th, 2023, the cumulative effects of the failure led to a stark conclusion. Codecraft ceased operations following bankruptcy filings, owned up to the overwhelming damages caused by the oversight, and settled legal actions with creditors and customers for a fraction of the anticipated claims. Other affected companies implemented sweeping policy shifts, enhancing their data security protocols and revising operational strategies while operating under tightened regulatory oversight. With these consequential systemic changes, a new emphasis on robust coding practices and vigilant oversight began to take shape across the tech industry, requiring a renewed focus on security as a primary principle rather than an afterthought. The aftermath of this incident served as a reminder of the risks inherent in complex digital ecosystems, prompting a collective reevaluation of how technology firms manage potential vulnerabilities. As of September 15, 2023, Codecraft is permanently dissolved, with completed settlements, while regulatory agencies continue to monitor affected technology platforms for compliance and security improvements post-crisis. The fragility of digital infrastructures remains a critical talking point, with ongoing discussions about ethics in software development and data protection echoing throughout the industry.